Hi everybody, Rambling Toffee podcast. I'm Mark. I hope everybody's doing well this Tuesday. It's a bit miserable out there, but hopefully we'll get a bit more dry weather as the week goes on. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing okay. A lot to talk about today, I think. Expected as per usual to talk about the game on Saturday, which we'll get into. It was a big game that we needed to get a result, and obviously we did. So I'll talk a bit about the game and what my thoughts on that and how it will help us go into the next few games that we're going to have. But of course, yesterday was we got a 2 point deduction. I'll get more into that later on after I've talked more about the game on Saturday and my thoughts going forward because it's just so much going on. It's not just that, we've also got the transfer, the takeover, which is just dragging on and on and on. And that's going to be a very pivotal week, I suppose. We might find out more um, regarding that end of this week, maybe, but next week, maybe the big week where we'll find out more where that is actually going. But anyway, let's get started on the Everton 1 Burnley nil. I was obviously the game, and the team that was put out. I think obviously it was right after the game against Newcastle with Gomez coming in. Um, Obviously, Anana I think had a little bit of an injury, so obviously he wasn't playing or wasn't starting or wasn't even on the bench. And also Idrissa Gueye, we found out before the game. I think was his wife gave birth. So obviously he was there looking dealing with that. And so he was no longer in the team as well. So it was so Gomez came in. Ashley Young kept his position. Harrison was on the bench. Um, as per usual. I always say about Ashley Young is his pace. Um, you know, um, Whenever he's played, I think his pace is always going to be an issue, and you can just tell against younger players around him. And this is not an ageist thing. If you're good enough, you're good enough to play in the team. Doesn't matter what age you are. But with Ashley Young, as I mentioned regarding recruitment, he's been uh, not a great signing for us personally. You may have a different opinion on that, but he came in. He was starting. I don't know why Sean Dyche feels that he can do that role and can do that job. As much as Jack Harrison's not been absolutely on fire, but he's young enough and a younger player, and I think he had a little bit more pace maybe going forward. But you know, so that's just we have to go with it. James Coleman came back in, which was good news. Because I felt Godfrey is, the amount of games. I don't know why. Again, Sean Dyche's persistence with Godfrey over the last few weeks, where you've got Seamus Coleman there, and also Nathan Patterson, who seems to be just been forgotten really, and he's just been sitting on the bench, and he's just not given any kind of opportunity. Is he good enough at this stage? Maybe not. Maybe, but he needs to be given the opportunities as well. But again, that's down to recruitment and down to decisions made. That Nathan Patterson is still a young player and he's still got potential to be a really good player for Everton going forward. But he should be, and that's where obviously Seamus Coleman's come back into the team. But it's you know I think Nathan Patterson is very good going forward and very in a defensive sense, he's a little bit weak on the defensive side of things, but going forward, he's a good enough player going forward to create the opportunities if in a wing back scenario. But obviously, on this occasion, he still doesn't get the opportunities. So Seamus Coleman came in, Jared Branthwaite in the team. The defence set up as per usual with Tarkovsky and Mikalenko, and the goalkeeper, of course, Jordan Pickford. Midfield with Gomez coming in, of course, Garner doing his position, and with Ashley Young and McNeil playing, and then of course with Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front, it was, you know, that's what you can have to go with. And obviously our bench, we are still waiting for Danjuma to come back. Harrison is sitting there. You've got Beto as an option there. Obviously, Beto started against Newcastle, and they've gone with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And but as for the game, Personally, it was not a great game of football. Burnley are not a great team neither, and it was just two teams that, you know, in all honesty, I would say Burnley. The only good thing about them is their passing. They can pass the ball around and they can move around the ball. Obviously, that under the manager Vincent Company, you're going to get that with that team, but they are very very weak in stronger, getting forward and in creating the opportunity for themselves. Everton just laboured as per usual, playing the same tactics, same formation, same scenario, like launching the ball through Jordan Pickford to Calvert-Lewin to knock-ons and everything else, and try and get forward and create opportunities. But when we did get the ball down and tried to pass the ball, Gomez in the first half was very, very slow to get into the game. And obviously his pace is an issue everywhere, but everybody knows that. But as the game wore on and he had the ball, he was able to get the ball passed around and do effective things with it. But when that happened, other players, I mean, James Garner was ominous in my mind. I didn't see him at all. He didn't have any kind of effect on the game going forward. And it was just, McNeil, I think you saw more in the second half. That player who was very busying around, getting, chasing every ball, chasing every player, trying to affect, try to create, get us further up the field, trying to make the Burnley make mistakes. And on several occasions, you know, one or two times it did happen where it made it a bit difficult for Burnley to try and play their game. But we always saw that, and that was kind of what we've seen of Dwight McNeil, and we want to see more of that. Hopefully in the next few games that we have, we start to see that play that we saw last season. We saw bits of this season before his injury, obviously, and scoring goals and being full of confidence. And that's what we need. That player, we need him. That's basically in the next few weeks. As we've only got 7 games to go now, and we have to make them tell, and we have to win going forward. But first half, obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a good game in my mind. It was a lot better. He was a lot more confident when he did get the ball down to with his feet. He got past the central defenders. He was a lot more alert, a lot more getting in the right positions. Even when the ball was launched, he was getting his head onto it. He was getting knockdowns. He was getting other players in when he could. So it's a better performance and it's improving. And obviously, he got his goal, which was from sheer persistence and basically, you know, goalkeeper taking his time, and he just went towards him and he got that opportunity. Was it luck? At the end of the day, he got himself in that position. He watched what the goalkeeper was doing, and he went straight towards him, and he got that the ball hit off his foot and went in. Was it lucky? Well, it tends to be lucky because sometimes that can happen. It can go wide or whatever else. But we got the goal, and it was unexpected because from my point of view, I was in the main stand. I think with everybody else, we were just waiting for half time because it was that close to the whistle being blown for half time, and it was really unexpected. And I was like, we were like sitting there, what's happened there? We scored. I couldn't believe it. I didn't jump up naturally to cheer that we scored that goal. It was like, where did that come from? It wasn't expected because it was just such a poor display from Everton in that first half. It was like, I don't think we even gave the goalkeeper a save in that first half. I can't remember if the second half, if the goalkeeper made any saves as well. But we got the goal. We needed it. At the end of the day, we need to win football matches. We need to get 3 points. We need to, break from this, run where basically we've not been winning games. Is it 14, 13, 14 games where we've not won a football match? And we need to actually win. And as I'll talk about the 2 point deduction in a moment, this is why we need to win football matches. And it's going to get more and more pressure. He's going to put on the players, on the coaching, on the manager, on the team to get those results. The next game is Chelsea away, and then we've got a few games at home. So it's gonna, from our perspective, it's gonna, we need to get these 3 points, and against teams around us and below us, and we need to get results, because if we can, that 2 point deduction that we got yesterday will mean nothing, and it'll mean we'll be further away from the bottom three, and then we can relax and hopefully end the season and just get this season out of the way and just forget about it and move on, move forward, whatever that may be, and that's regarding the takeover as well, and so on and so forth. And new owners, hopefully at some point, that's what we need to look forward to. Hopefully, as we go into our last season at Goodison, and that's what we want to get to. But we have to win the games, and we have to go out there and get as many points as we possibly can, so we are not affecting what's going down at the bottom end of the table, because we've been dragged in it because of the Premier League and because of the commission and the decisions that they made regarding points that have been given to us throughout this season. And as we move on to that is what has affected the situation. If we didn't have these point deductions, if we didn't have this issue, we would have been a little bit high, we would have been further up the table, and we would have been not even in the area of this relegation fight. But because of what's happened, that's what we're in, and we just have to go forward now as a team, as a fans. We just have to go for it and go, get behind them as per usual, as we always do, and just hope that they can get the results needed that can pull us away from the situation that we're in, and that we don't get pulled into it and get relegated. And that's all we can ask for. And I just hope that now that the 2 point deduction yesterday has taken place, and okay, this is where we're at. The 3 points that we got on Saturday, and now it feels like we've just drawn the game against Burnley. So we've already gained, it's like we've already got a point behind the Luton, and we just need to get the games and get the results that we need to actually go forward and be well away from it. But anyway, that's all we can do as fans. We can go and support them home and away. We can get behind them, and we just hope that that win that we did have on Saturday has give a little bit of confidence to the players that it's a win that they've been trying to get, and it's just not happened, of course. And they can go into the next game against Chelsea. And I saw Chelsea against Sheffield United the other day, and they were not great. And I felt, we can go if we can go at them, we might be able to get something there. It's going to be a difficult one, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, let's talk about yesterday. Um, everybody knew, we all knew there was be an announcement yesterday regarding the points deduction for the second breach of PSR, and some speculate maybe with mitigations and everything else that we probably get zero, so no points deduction, or maybe get a suspended fine, a suspended points deduction, or something of that nature. The feeling from a vast majority of people that he was roughly going around 2 points was a guess on that, and obviously that was the case. But for me, obviously, it came to that due to mitigation regarding Ukraine war, the war with Russia and the Ukraine war. And at one point, the Premier League, if you read it, Premier League wanted Everton to have 5 point deduction yesterday. And obviously, through the independent commission, they went through it, and it actually accepted that the Ukraine war is a mitigating factor. That's why we made losses and money of that, sponsorship, and losing through USM, sponsors. And it wasn't that, we should have accepted it, and expected that, this event to happen when nobody knew it was going to happen. But it's taken the second breach for an independent commission. We've had now two independent commissions. We've had an appeal. The first two they didn't take that into account. So that was amazed on that front, that they didn't take that into account to actually look. It may have meant that we still made losses or whatever else, but they put that as a mitigation. And I think it was 0.5, and there was another mitigation that was taken into account, and that became 1, and then there was another point. So that 3 points were taken away, and we were left with 2. But the question is that we've now had this season 8 points deducted. Originally, the Premier League wanted in total 17 points deducted for Everton to be deducted 17 points. Obviously, the Independent Commission originally went with 10 points, and then in the appeal process it dropped to 6, because if you start with 10 points and you've got 9 points, is we can go to administration. But the fact is, we've had 2 breaches thrown at us, and 17 points is what they wanted. And if we had decided to go into administration, we would have automatically just been given 9 points. So we've been given more points for 2 breaches, more than what you would get for going into administration, which is absolutely baffling and absolutely shocking. And for me, and I've said this all along, I think we breached. Yes, our finances are terrible and have been terrible for several years, and yes, we deserve a punishment, and it's what that punishment is. But I just feel that the Premier League, without a sanctions policy, has given Independent Commission who they appoint to go on to go through this, to actually, because they don't have a guide that they can go for to what to give. So we were the first, obviously, to be breached, to breach PSR. So we were the guinea pig. And the fact is that originally they wanted 12 points deducted for us. Okay, it became 10 through the Independent Commission, and an appeal obviously gave it to 6. But because we got that, that's the first commission. And then the appeal board narrowed it down to 6, and then they gave their view. Because in the first one, if you remember, the first commission said that we lied and we didn't, weren't coming forward with the right information, and being honest about the, PSR and the accounts, and everything regarding that. But in the appeal, they said that, we didn't lie. We were being honest. We were being open. We opened up the books for everything else. And then we get breach again, which is in double jeopardy, which is part of the same accounting period for the first breach. And then and all the bits and bobs that they went with through that again, to come to a decision of 2 points. And then also what I read is that they actually said, the commission actually said that the Premier League, the decisions that they made were over the top. They were, they were not sustainable. And that is the frustrating thing, is the fact that you get an independent commission, a third looking at this, the breach, and saying things like that, and criticising the Premier League, and actually saying why did you make these decisions? What is your decision making on this? Why are you trying to get, in this position? Why are you trying to, put pressure to to put points on the board, to try and it's like trying to get Everton to be relegated. It feels like there is an agenda there. But obviously the Premier League will say, well, no, there's no agenda there or whatever else. You can jump to conspiracy theories and everything else, and it's just a muddle with me because I read the stuff that came out yesterday. I'm trying to get understanding of what is going on. What do you guys think? It's what are the Premier League trying to do? I saw something the other day, but regarding the independent regulator, they don't like the independent regulator, and they don't want one. They want to regulate themselves. They want to be in control, and because that's the case, they're putting adverts out there to try and say that in England we shouldn't have an independent regulator. Everywhere else in the world don't need a government-led independent regulator. It's just in England that is. So they don't like that, and I think they looked at Everton and thought they're easy targets. Let's go after them. They're struggling. They're going through. The board leaving and resigning, and the owner absent at the moment, and doesn't seem you don't really hear much from him. And basically, we're going through a takeover. Financially, we're making losses all the time, and we're trying to get back to some form of sustainability. Of course, we have the new stadium being built at the moment, and that's what is taking part of why we got this deduction again is the stadium and the tax or the interest on that stadium and that money is now, because I believe within that report yesterday is there's been the Premier League and Everton um, are not against the stadium costs and the interest is in and it's wrong. The Premier League thinks it's wrong that what Everton have given to them. Everton think they're right. So basically, regarding the stadium interest and everything regarding that. So we'll find out what will happen with that case next season now, because it's not going to be added into this season. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll start the season with 3 points deducted if we're still in the Premier League, or be added points, or what? I don't know. I just don't know. So it continues on and on and on, and it's just never ending. But I go back to the point that I can be critical of the Premier League and the way the Premier League have actually dealt with this, and the way that they're dealing with this. And the fact is, you've got several commissions that giving different views and different opinions of how they come to this points deduction, how it's been calculated this way, and everybody having different views. And the fact that the criticism has been levelled now at the Premier League from the commission that came up with the deductions yesterday and the report, that for us is, from my point of view, is that it's not just Premier League and the issues that they have. They need to be called out on. Something needs to be done about it, because it's getting, it just feels like that we've just been bashed by a stick over and over and over again, and they keep on trying to find something else to actually knock us down. When, in all honesty, what PSR is supposed to be about is supposed to be sustainability. It's supposed to help the club, help clubs that are going through financial difficulties, to help them going forward to get themselves back into a position. But it just feels that what's happening here is you give all these points deductions, and in the end, instead of us being mid-table without them, we're down here. We get pulled into a relegation fight. We may get relegated, and then at the end of the season, this is what's happened now, is because we're appealing, obviously, the 2 point deduction. We have to wait until after the season ends. So if we get relegated by 2 points, say, and then it comes back that our points are, they reduce it to 0, that means that we survive, and then basically Luton Town, for example, who may have survived at the end of the season, gets relegated. What's going to happen next? Court cases, legalities, throw that out of the way. Well, they go against us, or it'll be against the Premier League, and say, well, just wait a minute. That's the Premier League. So at the end of the day, you shouldn't be going after Everton Football Club. At the end, it's what the decision, what is in place by the Premier League, is you should be going after the Premier League regarding that, if that comes to that case. But that what could happen. And the fact is, at the end, that's what makes it even worse. And the fact is, it means that you do not know if you are going to stay in the division or not. And it's not just for us. I mean, it's not Forest have obviously been given their points. They might be get pulled in, and they're appealing the 4 points that they've been given. So they're in the same scenario. So just imagine if they get pulled in. Maybe we start playing well, we get pulled away, and we're fine. And basically, we're safe. But Forest get pulled in, and Luton go on a bit of a run, and Forest get pulled in. If Luton don't, if Forest don't get results, and it goes in that direction, it's all up in the air. So it's like they've extended. It's like, yeah, it is like TV. This is like the Premier League are getting what they want. They're getting the relegation scrap because they want to have what's going on at the top of the table, where they're on Liverpool and Arsenal on the same points. Man City are 1 point behind. They're getting their title race. Everything's wonderful. Everybody wants to watch the ratings and all that, and all the fans all over the world want to watch that, but they also want to see the relegation fight. They want to see a struggle. They want to see who's going to stay up. It's drama. It's everything you want. So you see, as a neutral, that's what you're gonna get. But if you're a fan of those clubs that are in that position, it's not. It's not fun. It's absolute abject crap watching that all the time. Watching your team struggle week in week out, hoping that you're gonna get through it. We've been through it for the last. This will be the third season. But if we weren't given those point deductions and maybe something else was put in place, we would have been mid-table, and maybe we might not have been part of that. But this goes back to where we now have Premier League wanted to bring this new rules in, where it's like tax on it, a certain tax, a certain, I can't understand it. They want to bring something different in. I'm sorry, I can't get the words out. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it's they want to bring something new in, which means the likes of Man City, who've got about 115 charges at the moment, and Chelsea, who I think are being investigated by the Premier League, but nothing's heard from them at the moment. And it just seems to be that if you're up in the six clubs, you just accept it, and just move on. Nothing's happened to them, and it's just like just pick on the teams that it's easy to do so. But it just feels from me as an Evertonian, it just feels there's an agenda there that they are trying to get us relegated. And I may be absolutely wrong, and maybe I'm just being conspiracy theory going on here. And some people who listen to this podcast today will probably say, well, we breached, and basically, we deserve a punishment. But it's how that punishment is being pulled out that is getting me. I have no issue about the breach. I have no issue about what we what's happened, in what way and whatever it, and how it's been done, and how it's been done over the last few years. I can understand that. I was there demonstrating with everybody else regarding the board at the time last season, and the owner and everything else regarding them, and the decision. You can look at the accounts and the losses that we've made, and the increased amount of losses that we've made. That this club is on its knees and basically needs help to get out of it and get back onto the right road and the right path. And that's when we move on to obviously the takeover, which is absolutely doing my head in. I don't know what's going to happen next. Are 777 partners going to finally get the approval? It doesn't look like it at the moment. And we now have, obviously, I mentioned last week, MSP, who, and Blythe with, AJ, but, Andy Bell and Stuart Downing, I think, who are, part of that £158 million that was invested by MSP or through themselves into this new stadium, and also, they got security on it. They got security on that, on the stadium, and they got security on half of Moshiri's shares, or a majority amount, about 51%, whatever, and they got security on it. And if 777 partners don't pay that 158 million, they can take over. They'll take over the stadium, and because they got security on it on that investment, they'll take over the 51% of the Farhad Moshiri shares. And if it comes to that, will they take on responsibility? Say we're going to take over the football club and we're going to run it and we're going to. Will they still allow 777 partners to continue to try and get approval to take over the football club, the full amount, or are they going to decide no, we're going to go somewhere else? If there's other investors out there, everything's up in the air. We'll have to find out on the 15th. It's supposed to be the 15th. That's the day we find out. And I believe that there were still people who were part of 777 partners at the game on Saturday. It wasn't Josh Wander and the usual people. It was so many people below them, who were there. And why are they still coming to games? It still indicates that they're still waiting, or they're going to get that approval. But they've got conditions that they've been given by the Premier League to actually pay this, do that. But we're not hearing anything. And there is like little stories popping out at the moment that AJ Bell, Andy Bell, who's a big Evertonian, and Stuart Downing, who both Evertonians as well, both got big companies. AJ Bell, of course, is a pension provider and insurance, and also, Stuart Downing does in property and other things like that, wanting to take on the responsibility. We'll find out. There's stories about that could happen, but the 15th is the day. And if we get more clarity and understanding where it's going to go, and I can see a positive road ahead that we're going to go in the right direction, I'll take anything at this moment in time. But that needs clarity. I do not want to be in a position that we get pulled into administration, that we default on money, that the club can't keep on going as a going concern, which in the accounts it says that they are becoming a going concern. At this moment, it's been last 2 years. It's been said they've been saying that. The auditors have actually said that that's what they feel and what they see. So we need right people in as soon as possible. And this has been dragging on 7 and a bit months now, and it's never ending. And I just want to see the end. The light at the end of that tunnel, and that's where I want it to be. And the fact is that at the moment we got a 2 point deduction yesterday, you know, but we still got 7 games left. And if we can pull our way out of that and win the games that we are winnable and needed to win, we'll stay in the division again for another season, and then we can start hopefully going into the summer afresh. And as I mentioned about Sean Dyche and I mentioned about Kevin Felwell, my views are still the same. What I saw on Saturday, yes, it was a win, but the performance was shocking. It was terrible. It was not, as a season ticket holder, I want to be entertained. I'm a fan. I love my club so much. I'll watch them through thick and thin, but I also want to enjoy watching my team play. And I'm not enjoying watching them at the moment. I don't get any enjoyment out of it. I'm sitting slumped on my seat. I want to get behind it. I tried everything. I sang, chanted everything I possibly could to get the team going. And the only time that the team or player got the fans going was Dwight McNeil in that second half. When he was running and chasing players down, trying to get the ball, he got us up, got us getting us behind it. We need to see not just from one player, we need to see that from everyone going at it. On Saturday, the only thing I'll say, but there was 3 players who played well in my mind. For Calvert-Lewin played well, better than he has been, so he's getting better. His goals are helping, I think, his confidence. Gomez was all right in the second half. Dwight McNeil was a little bit better in the second half as well. But I thought Braithwaite was stand above anybody else in that team. I thought he was fantastic on Saturday. And I think from my point of view, he's going to be head above, shoulders above, better than anybody in that team. But also, I think he's going to move on to better things. And yes, okay, we'll get a wonderful fee for him probably. But he's on Saturday, you can just see how good a player he is. He just made everybody else look absolute looked like crap, basically. So calm on the ball, knew what he was doing, just a wonderful player. And it'd be sad to see him go. I just wish we were in a different time. Wish we had, been in a better position, that we were getting into Europe and we're more better position up further up the field, up the table. But you know, that's just how it is, and we just have to move forward and hopefully we can find somebody better, somebody in the future, a young player coming through or anything like that, who can be even better than him. But that's for another day. That's for another that's next season. But all I want to say is that I want to get to the summer, that we have clarity regarding the takeover, what's happening with it, where we can finally move forward, um, and also hopefully to stay in the Premier League and we can go into the final seasons at Goodison, you know, looking upwards and looking in a more positive direction. A lot of work needs to happen, but as I mentioned about Sean Dyche and Kevin Farewell, they need to move on as part of this new future that we need to have as soon as possible. But I can't, until we get clarity, we won't know how that picture is going to be. But my feelings regarding Sean Dyche, we saw it on Saturday and I said it. It was a poor display in a sense. Okay, we came away with a result, but I said the other week that he should go now straight away because I felt that the performances just like as they are, and we weren't moving forward in any way. He wasn't trying anything different. He wasn't trying to. He seems to he need to be motivating the players to go forward and actually put the fight in, and he just felt lackluster from the players, and that comes from the manager. The manager should be setting the tone for his players to go out there and fight for the shirt and get the results that we need, to actually stay in this division. But just we feel if the new future, if with new owners and new people, they need to make those decisions to actually bring new people in who can take this club, start letting this club develop going forward. And it's going to take a long, long time before we see Everton back amongst it with, the bigger clubs and the opportunities to get into Europe and challenging for title trophies and other things like that. I know I'm a bit optimistic, but I would guess it's going to take a long time, years probably, before we may start to see, Everton that we want it to be. But we need new people in, new owner, and you're not going to get Sean Dyche, you know, taking his club forward for the next few years and developing it into a squad that's going to be capable of challenging for Europe and challenging further up the table. It's not. He's yeah. I think he's limited and he can only do so much. And I think he kept us up last season. And if we can, I would guess he probably would keep us up this season. I'm trying to be optimistic, but going forward, we need new people, coaching manager. We need director of football. We need a new director of football that will look more into the youth and the academy and look at the young players. And we have to be very, very different. And if we are signing players, that we sign players that are young and up and coming, that potentially very, very similar to how Brighton have done it. Getting the right recruitment, right, people coming in because it's not working, and the players that are coming in are not working, and they're not doing, they're not impacting us, helping us forward in getting results that we need to actually compete. And we're just, you can see that at the moment in time. So yeah, we'll see over the next few days, and hopefully we'll find out more from regarding the takeover, regarding if it's going to be 777 partners or if it's somebody else is going to, as I mentioned, Andy Bell and so what not, MSP taking on that responsibility um, going forward, and hopefully get some clarity on that front. And hopefully, the next few games as we go on, that we can start getting results, and then we can start breathing a bit easier, and then we can go into the summer, and hopefully we can start finally seeing our football club move forward, because at the moment we're at a standstill, and it feels like we're going backwards, further and further and further backwards, to a point that if we don't get the results, well, you know what happens with results. If you don't get them, you go down, and that's what we are teetering on that. But it's now in the players' hands. Points deductions, that's the last for this season. We just have to move forward. Let the players go out there, do the best they possibly can, and if we can get the results, fantastic. But it is worrying times, and I just hope, as I say, there's that light at the end of the tunnel, and I hope we'll see it soon. So anyway, that's my take today. So yes, there's a lot of things going on at the moment. That hopefully, if I hear anything before my next podcast on Monday, I will put a video out there and give my views of that and let me know. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about everything that's going on, not just the result on Saturday, the 2 point deduction, the takeover, everything else that's going with the football club at the moment. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What is the best way forward for our football club? What is the hope going forward? And anything else that you got on your mind regarding Everton at this moment in time. So yes, on that note, I'm back on Monday unless there is something breaking before that. The way the club is at the moment, I'll hear something later on. But on that note, I'll speak to everybody again on next Monday, hopefully Monday or Tuesday of next week. On that note, thanks again for listening. I do appreciate it as per usual, and the support and all the feedback that I get. It's been fantastic, and I look forward to speak to you all again next Monday or Tuesday. So take care, have a great day. This is the Rambling Toffee signing out. Take care, bye bye.